Hello. Okay. So hey everyone, I'm Viraj Jain, your mentor at Geeks4Geeks, and welcome back to the part 2 of day 3. So basically this is day 4, but anyways, we have named it as part 2 because we are going to still complete the APIs. The two APIs were remaining, so we have to finish that, and then we are going to merge the login APIs to the login page of our front end, and similarly we're going to merge the sign up API to the sign up page of our front end. Let me just explain you. We're gonna just add some details. We're gonna create like we have already created the UI in the last video. We're just going to add the APIs today. Okay, so for now I'm just gonna close this and I'm just going to show you the project. So you can see this is the project which we have created till now, and let's first go through the backend. And here we have to do a few things. Okay, in the backend, basically what we're trying to do is, in the last video we created this API. Okay, you can check out the part 1. We created this auth routes. Inside this we created some API, that is send OTP API, register API, which was also working, and the login API, which was also working, and check login, which was also working, and logout, which was also working. Now guys, in the send OTP API, what I'm gonna do is I'm simply going to do one more thing. That is, we are going to remove the extra object which is created. Okay, so just copy this part, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. So before creating an OTP, delete existing OTPs from the database. That's what I have said. For that specific email, delete existing OTPs from my database. So it's gonna only have now one thing. Okay, so it's very easy now. And now I'm simply checking this. Yes, everything is fine here. So all the APIs are perfectly working. Okay, so we did the yesterday, we checked the APIs yesterday. Today we have to check this first of all, and then we are going to jump to the front end. Okay, now in the share file, we actually did some mistake. Okay, we were facing some issues here. So first of all guys, I'm gonna make some changes here. Okay, so we are not going to send the sender email since I am the sender. So I'm gonna extract my email. That means extract my details from my token. Okay, from my token, since I have the token, I can extract the details. So I'm not going to provide the sender email. Okay, I'm just going to say that sender user can be easily found with the id is saved from the token. Okay, so I'm just going to say that the id of that user must match with the user id which we got from the token, or token simply forwarded the user id. That means the user who is logged in is who's the user who is logged in would be ID. Okay, the ID, that means the ID would be user ID, who's logged in. Okay, user ID would be here. So now I'm logged in with the specific user, so I'll get user ID as my ID, and I'm just gonna find myself. Sender user is me, right? Similarly, we have the receiver user, so whose email I'm gonna just provide from the front end. Now if I found the sender user, perfect. If I don't found the so I'm just gonna show the error. Okay, that's what we did yesterday. Now I'm just gonna push this specific file. So here you can see that we are asking for file name also, but I'm gonna say that guys, if file name doesn't exist, okay, in some case suppose someone doesn't want to provide the file name, so I can just skip this. Okay, I can just skip this. I can instead of this I can write file name would be unknown. Yeah, you can say that new date, current date. Okay, so new date. Okay, dot to string, any kind of string you can just expect. Okay, to local string actually, so to lo local uh okay, let me just leave it now for this. Okay, let me just leave it like this for now. Okay, and I actually want to get the time. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that if file name exists, I want to show the file name, else I would show the current date. You can see, else I would show the current date. That's it. I'm just gonna convert it to like, if you want to do something, you can definitely do anything from here. I'm just gonna say to local date string. Okay, yes, now it would work. Okay, so I'm just saying create a local date string. If the file name doesn't exist, just save the name by this. Okay, that's it. Now you can see that it's done, and what we want is yes, everything is fine here. Okay, so you can see that instead of sender email, we just have sender object. Okay, sender object dot email. Okay, from that I'm extracting the email. Sender object is extracted with the help of this ID. I would find the sender user. Okay, sender user. From that I'm gonna extract the email. Okay, similarly in the second case also, I'm just gonna provide the sender email. dot email, sender user dot email. That's it. So yes, similarly for the file name also, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. Right, that's it. So you can see that now I have to just save the sender user and receiver user. Now talking about the sender email, okay, what I need to do is I just need to say that sender user dot email. That's it. Right. So yes, now you can see that now I would be getting file shared successfully. For checking this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call this API in my Postman. So if you don't know what I'm trying to do, please watch my previous videos. You will understand everything. So here you can see that we basically have this, right? So share file API, we created this sample in the last video. You can check that out. So I've just named this as share file and this was the route. And here you can see we basically have the client file. So you can see this is the client file. So suppose you want to upload some image, okay? So I'm just gonna remove this for now. So client file would be, suppose the front end user wants to send something to another user. So I'm just gonna say that suppose I want to send this file. So I'll just click on this and then I don't need the sender email, that's why I removed it. So you can just remove the sender email, okay? And then you need the receiver email, just the receiver email. Okay, receiver email is what? This is the receiver, suppose. Okay. I'm just gonna say that sender, okay, sender is actually me. Sender is actually me. So I'm just gonna say that coders hub dot 2430 at the rate gmail.com. Let me just check with which user I have logged in. So you can see, okay, I have logged in with this specific user. So yes, receiver email would be what? Something different, right? Receiver would be different. So here I can add one more flag, that is if sender user dot email equals receiver user, then also you can just remove the file. Okay, you can just create a function to remove file, then you can call that function again and again. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that this is it. Receiver email cannot be same as sender, like that. Okay, so if I'm sending a file to myself, I'm just gonna say sender email must not be equal to receiver email. If they are equal, then I'm gonna throw an error like this. Okay, that's it. So now you can see that this is also done. So suppose now, first of all, if I click on send, so you can see, okay, I have to log in first. So I would just log in. You can see now I've logged in. Now I'm simply going to click on share file. So you can see that it's taking time. First of all, it's gonna do something. Okay, it's gonna try to save the file. Then after a few seconds, you can see shared successfully. Okay, shared successfully. So till this time, you can see we waited for a few seconds. Till this time, we can show the percentage. Okay, we'll do that later on, but right now you can see that file is shared successfully. That means let's look at the database here. So guys, I'm just gonna take you to the database now. Okay, so this was the database, right? This was the database, right? So I'm just gonna refresh, and right now I send the file from coder sub to Viraj 014. So you can see this is the sender, right? This is the sender. You can see that in the files, I just now shared a file. Okay, I think this is the one. I just now shared a file and you can see that the sender was this, sender was me and receiver was this person, right? And you can see this was the file URL and automatically this was the file name which I sent from what path, from this. You can see that file name was this which I sent from the front end. If I don't send this, automatically the latest date would be set up here. So you can see that the file is also uploaded. The sender is this, the receiver is also this. You can see receiver has been changed and rest everything is fine. So you can see that this is it. Now let me just try to send a file to myself. So I'm just gonna say that COTERSHUB.2430, right? So now sender and receiver are same. Let's try this. So if I click on this, first of all, you can see, okay, I'm getting an error. Okay, let me just check what's the exact error. Um, Okay, actually, yeah, guys, I have to, okay, I'm running my backend somewhere else. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to run this backend. Okay, I was running the backend from my old project. Let me just do that for you. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna run backend from here. Then we are gonna test this API again. Okay, so I'm just gonna type npm run. For the backend, we have to write nodemon, nodemon. Okay, and then for this, we have to we have to open the front end. This is the front end, open an integrated terminal. Yes. So we basically have the front end and you're just gonna type npm run dev. Okay. So now guys, let's test the API again for our backend. Okay. So I'm just gonna go to my uh, postman, and here I'm gonna type send. So as soon as I send, you can see now I'm getting the error, receiver email cannot be same as sender, right? But if I provide some other receiver email, that means this is my email. I can't send file to myself. Okay, so that's why. So I'm just gonna say that viraj014@gmail.com, right? So to this user, I want to send a file. So you can see that it would take a few seconds, okay, to upload the data, to upload the file to server, and then you can see shared successfully. Now, as soon as I click on this, you can see that I would receive an email also. I would just go to Gmail, okay, I would go to Gmail, and you can see that if I take you to that, so from CoderSub, I sent a file to Viraj, okay, you can see that CoderSub would receive an email, okay. Actually, we need to do one thing, okay, we need to do one thing. I would just go to mailer, okay, and here I think we did one mistake, okay. So this is the receiver email and sender. Okay, I did one mistake. We have to provide the file sender email first. Okay, file sender email first, then receiver email. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this. In the first parameter, I'm providing the sender email. I'm sorry. Okay, so file sender email, then the receiver email. Okay, now I think it must work properly. Yes. So yeah, what you are doing is in the share file function, you can see that we were calling. So first of all, you can see, okay, here also we did the same thing. Okay, strange. So to the receiver, I want to send a mail. Okay, to the receiver, I want to send a mail. So what I did was, I'm gonna make it normal. I'm just gonna say that receiver email would be there and file sender email would be there. Now I'm saying that to this receiver, I am sharing a file. Okay, I am sharing a file. Let's try this. Um, Let me just check this API also. What we did here is, okay, we are checking both of these users and we are returning also. Okay, strange. Let's check the receiver. Okay, let's check the receiver. This person is the receiver, right? So let's check this person. So you can see, yes, just now I did, I think, yes, 711. Yes. You can see that I received a message. You received a file from CoderSub 243. That means, yes, now I'm getting the message. And what you can do is, now you know that from this user you received a file, you can show more text here, like some link or something to visit that page. But now you know that file share is occurring, and I'm also able to receive an email. Okay, now since I'm able to receive the email, so I can now use this in the front end. Okay, now I'm going to start my front end to use these login, sign up APIs and share file API in the front end. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so this was the backend done. Now guys, we're gonna use this in the front end. So first of all, let's go to a front end. Okay, and we are just going to go to a front end. It started. I'm gonna go to src app auth. Inside this, guys, we're gonna go to where, first let me just show you the front end. Okay, so we have created the front end. I'm just gonna say localhost 3000. Okay, so this much front end was already done. You can see that we have these pages. I'm just gonna say in the nav bar, go to components, navbar. I'm just gonna make it for now false. That means I'm not logged in. Okay, I'm not logged in, right? So you can see that since I'm not logged in, I would see the login page. Okay, I would see the login page and I would see the sign up page also. Okay, so first let me just set up the Redux. Okay, first let me just set up the Redux so that I can get the user data of that person who is logged in right now. So for that, guys, I'm just simply going to create a folder here, Redux, and I have already done this in my previous video. You can just check out Next.js. Okay, let me just take you to that playlist. Just a second. You can just check out this playlist. I'm just gonna go to GFG dev channel. Okay, GFG development, and here in the playlist you can see that we basically have Next.js TypeScript playlist. Yeah, inside this you can see, if I go inside this, you have to first of all view the complete playlist so that you understand Next.js and TypeScript completely. But I have one specific video which I wanted to show you, that is Next.js and Redux integration. Please watch this video so that you understand how to use Redux with Next.js. And you must know Redux. If you don't know Redux, that's fine. It's just used as a local storage, as a global storage. I'm sorry, as a global storage. So you can watch this complete video. You'll understand what is the purpose of Redux. Okay, and you'll understand now from here also. So yeah, for that, for using Redux, I'm going to install two packages here. Okay, what packages are needed? So we're gonna need npm i react redux. Okay, we're gonna need this. You have to install this in the front end, and we need one more thing, that is npm i redux toolkit. Okay, that's it. So you need both of these things. right? So once you have installed both of these things, now what you need to do is, guys, one more thing, you need to install one more thing, that is React Toastify. Just install that also, npm I React Toastify. That's it. So now I can actually use Redux. Okay, so inside the Redux, guys, I'm gonna paste my old files which I have already taught you in the playlist. Okay, for just creating Redux storage. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, first of all, we're gonna have a folder inside this. Okay, I'm just gonna name this folder as features. Okay, features. Inside this, we're gonna create a file named as auth slice. So auth-slice dot ts TypeScript, right? TypeScript file. So now, guys, I'm just gonna say that we're gonna import these two things from Redux toolkit. Okay, then we're gonna create an interface in TypeScript, and then, guys, we're gonna initialize the state. I'm just gonna say initially the user is not logged in and it's null. So you can see it can be boolean value and it can be null or any. So you can see that's it. Now I'm gonna create a slice for auth. So I'm just gonna say that this is the slice for auth. Okay. Then after creating this slice, I have to export a few things. I have to first of all export this auth reducer. Now inside this, guys, I have to define a few things. I'm just gonna say that the name of this specific reducer is auth. Inside this, we have some group of reducers. So I'm just gonna say, first of all, initial state would be taken from here. Then after that, we're gonna have some specific set of reducers inside this reducers. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that my first reducer would be login. Okay, first reducer would be login. Whenever user hits login, I have to set that specific user as a logged in user, right? That means I have to remember the user data of that user so that I can use it in every page. That's why whenever login happens, we're gonna hit this. Okay, we're gonna hit this reducer. We are just gonna say that whatever is the payload, first of all, we are gonna say state.isAuth is true, and I'm just gonna say whatever is the payload, whatever is the user data, just set it to the object. Now we have the user data set as my local storage. Okay, now we can use this anywhere. Similarly, guys, we have the logout functionality also, which is gonna remove things. We are just gonna say that it's false and null. Okay, that's it. So okay, I did one mistake. I have to name it inside. Okay, so now, guys, you can see that that's the hook which we created, that's the redux which we created, and we are going to store the user data as logged in or else false. Okay, as not logged in. Okay, that's done. So now I'm just gonna go to my neighbor, and, guys, I'm gonna upgrade these imports. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that, okay, one more thing. Yeah, we define the features. We have to define one more file here in the redux. We have to define what? We have to define the provider also. We're gonna need the provider also, provider.tsx. And then, guys, we're gonna need one more file inside this. We're gonna say one more file is what? Store, store.ts, right? These two files are needed. So inside the store, guys, basically I'm gonna say my storage would be here. So my storage would be containing all the variables. One of our variable was auth slice, which we created. Okay, it's gonna store the auth object. So in store, multiple reducers can be stored. One of our reducer would be auth reducer. So you can see that I imported auth reducer and I'm using it. Here you can mention one more reducer, whatever you are creating, like card data or whatever you want, you can store it here. Okay, but right now I only have one reducer, so I'm just gonna mention it. Okay, now I'm just gonna define the types. Okay, root state app dispatch, we already discussed that in the TypeScript video. And after that, we're just going to say that use app selector, our custom hook is created. Okay, now you can see that we created a store. Now we need to define our provider also. Okay, don't worry, guys, you'll get the source code also, so you can check out the source code later. Okay, so I'm gonna say that first of all, my provider would be created, imported. Now I've imported the store also. Now I'm gonna say that my Redux would be using this specific store. You can see inside this, I'm gonna load all of my pages, home page, about page, contact page, all my application would be loaded as children. Okay, but at extreme out, we actually have the Redux provider. Okay, now, guys, we need to use the Redux provider, so we're just gonna go to the app folder, then the layout.tsx, which is the root layout. Inside this, guys, we need to use the Redux provider. So I'm just going to import the Redux provider. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that Redux provider would be imported. Okay, right, and I'm just going to say that it's imported and just close it. Okay, when you close it, inside this, guys, you need to pass your children. Okay, you need to pass your children. That's it. We need one more thing, that is React Toastify. So we have already used it in previous videos. You can search about it. What we need is, we need toast container of React Toastify. Okay, then we need what? We need CSS of React Toastify. You can just search npm React Toastify. You'll get these imports if you are looking for, or you'll get my source code from there also. You can get these imports. Okay, so now from here, guys, I'm gonna say that we have the toast container. and that's done. Okay, so it's gonna show me toast like logged in successfully, sign up successful, toast message like pop-up message like that. Okay, so it's for that. Okay, so you can see that now I've done this. Now I'm simply going to visit my login page. Okay, in my login page you can see this was the login page, right? Inside this we're gonna write some logic here to handle the login, right? So in this UI, in this front end UI, guys, we are simply going to say that first of all, we're gonna have a form data. Okay, we're gonna have a form data which is gonna take email and password. Okay, email and password. So we're just going to import a few things. We're gonna import these things. That means login, logout from my Redux, right? And then we have toast, then we have use dispatch, then we have app dispatch, use app selector, and use router. Okay, so these are all the things. And later on, we're gonna use this. You can see okay, one mistake, guys, which we did here is in auth slice we have to export this login and logout. Okay, so in auth slice do one more thing, that is export these login and logout as actions. That's it. Now I'm going to come back to my navbar to my login page. You can see this was the login page. Yeah, this was my login page. So inside this we have to say that first of all I'm gonna have my router from next navigation. Okay, so use router, and then we're gonna call the state of current logged in user, that means authored user, right? And then we're gonna say that we are gonna call our custom dispatch from my like I'm gonna define the type of this from my provider. I'm gonna get this, okay, from my store and from my provider. I've defined the types, right? And then we have dispatch called the dispatch for the Redux. Then guys, we're gonna have the form data. So instead of this, we're gonna have a form data, and we're gonna have function to handle the input change, right? This is the function which is gonna help us input change. That means name and email and password would be helped to set up, right? Then guys, we're gonna handling the login logic, and then one more thing which is the functionality here. Okay, so let's try to add the functionality here. So now instead of this, I'm gonna say that the value is form data dot email and set value equals form data dot email, and we are going to say that on change handle input change. Okay, that's it. So I'm just gonna say on change handle input change, that's it. Okay, so you can see now it's done. And what's the problem here? We have to add a closing tag also. Right, similarly guys, we're gonna do this for password also. So I'm just gonna say for password also, I'm gonna add my form data directly. So inside the form data, I'm gonna update my password. Similarly, email would be updated. That's it. Okay, now after this, as soon as I log in, this function would be called. It would helping me to log in. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to handle login function. Okay, handle login function. This is going to just call my API. Okay, so for my API, you must see that we might have a file named as .env.local. We don't have a file here. I think I need to create that file. So guys, here inside this bit share front end, we need to create a file named as .env.local. Okay, .env.local, and we will say that our backend URL would be mentioned here. In the front end, we have mentioned our backend URL. Okay, so this is the env file which we created. Now inside local, inside this login, okay, inside this login, we have to first of all import the we have to use the API now. Okay, we have to use the API. First of all, I'll check that is email and password available or not. So if they are not available, I'm gonna show a toast error. Okay, so suppose if you are here, okay, if you are here, okay, now I'm gonna take you to my page. You can see this is the login page. If I click on login, you can see please fill all the fields. If I type email and if I click on this, you can see still. If I type password, you can see now I don't get the error message. Okay, that means it's fine till here. Okay, now after that, we need to just simply say that a variable named as res would be called, and inside this we're gonna say await fetch auth login. So I'm just gonna call auth login API. That's what I'm calling in the front end, right? Now inside this I need to make it async. Okay, make it async. Inside this I just need to provide the details from front end. So I'm just gonna say that method is post. Okay, just check the login API. Let me just check the login API. Just a second. Let me just take you to the login API, and you can see this is the login API. What I did was post request with this URL, right? Backend URL. okay, backend URL, and then this the route which I want to call. Now in the body we simply send email and password, and in the headers you can see we are sending application JSON. Method is post. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and I'm just gonna say that method is post. Okay, method is post, and similarly guys we're gonna have email and password. Okay, so email and password, right, in the body, and then we're gonna send the headers also. And do one more thing, add credentials include, since we are using cookies in a lot of places, that's why credential include is important. Okay, after that you're gonna get some response. So I'm just gonna store that response, convert that into JSON format and store inside this variable. Okay, once I get a response, I'm just gonna say that if data is okay. Okay, if data response is okay, so I'm just gonna say login success, and I'm gonna call get user data. Okay, I'm gonna call get user data function. If login is not successful, so I'm just gonna say that toast error and error message. So now inside this I need to get the user data. How can I get the user data? So just go to auth routes, and here guys we need to just check for one API, that is get user data. Let me just check for that API. So for creating the API, okay, we need to create that API. So I'm just gonna say router router dot get, and inside this I'm just gonna name this API as slash get user. Okay, this would allow me to get data of logged in user. So or token handler, first of all check that user is logged in or not. Then guys I'm gonna get data of that specific logged in user. Okay, so with that user ID I'll get user ID from here. Once I get the user ID, I'm just gonna say that get the user data from the user ID. So try and catch err, right, catch error, and I'm just gonna say that it would be just throwing me error. So I'm just gonna say next error. But the problem here is we have to define one more thing guys. Here I'm just gonna go to my file share, and here we have to use the error handler. Okay, we forgot to use the error handler, and that's it. Okay, so if there is an error, it would directly go to this error handler. Okay, and in the else case, in the try case, you're just going to say first of all find that user with the user ID which you extracted from auth token, right? And then I would just say that if you didn't find the user, just throw the error. Okay, but if you find the error, if you find the user, you simply send the user. Okay, so you simply send the user. You can see I'm sending the user, and okay is true, and the data number is 200, status number is 200, and this is the response. Right, now let's go back to our page, get user data. We have to create this function. So const get user data. Okay, so get user data, this is going to be our function. Inside this we are going to get user data. Okay, so we are just going to say that we are going to call an API. Which API? So remember, right now we created the auth folder, inside auth file, inside this we have get user API, right? So we have created the get user API. We simply calling this, we are simply saying that method was get, right? Just now we created it, and the headers were, we don't really need the headers, and we would say that content, okay, we don't need the errors actually, but yeah, we need credentials include, because since we are identifying the logged in user with the help of cookies, so we need this. Okay, so now after this I'm just gonna say that whatever is data, it would be converted into JSON format. If data is okay, then do something for me. If data is not okay, that means I want the user to log out. That means I didn't get the user data, so I want the user to log out. Okay, so dispatch logout, that means database would clear all the previous saved user data. Okay, but if suppose I got the data, so I got data in data.data, right? So I'm just gonna convert this, I'm gonna save it to my Redux, right? I'm gonna save the user data to my Redux, right? And if I get one more thing, that is after login, I wanna push the user to my files page. Okay, my files page. Now let's test this. So I'm simply saying that first of all I'm gonna enter the details. Suppose this user is registered, I'm just gonna add the password HJ12345. Suppose wrong password, if I click on login, can see invalid credential. But if I write the right password, so I would get the response from there, and if I click on login, you can see login is successful and I am taken to the my files page. That means my login is also working perfectly, right? Now guys, after this what we need to do is we need to simply update this navbar also. You can see that here we have to show logged in state, that means user is logged in, so we have to show login here. Okay, how we can do this? So we are going to go to the navbar. In the components we basically have the navbar, right? And here guys we would just show the details. Okay, we would show the details of the logged in user which is saved in the Redux, right? Which is saved in the Redux. So again guys, I'm just gonna make some imports here. I've made the imports from Redux. Okay, these three imports from Redux. And then one more thing, that is we have to import things here also. So I'm just gonna say that import dispatch and auth state from Redux. Okay, so I'm just going to import these two things from Redux, right? And then after that we need to check that if user is logged in or not. So we are checking it here. First of all, we are just going to say that we have a function named as check login. Okay, whenever navbar loads, I'm going to call a function named as check login. Okay, this would be called whenever our website loads, we are going to call a function named as check login, right? So I'm just going to say that if this check login works, that means we created an API named as check login, right? So I'm just going to say that if its response is okay, that means user is logged in. Okay, so I'm going to go to my navbar. I'm just going to call that API, check login API. That's it. Credentials include, method was get, right? After that, I'm just going to say that response was, if convert the response. If response was not okay, then handle the logout. Okay, call the logout from my Redux. Erase the all user data, erase the complete user data. If the user is logged in, just call get user data function. Okay, get user data function. And I'm gonna say as soon as my page loads, I wanna call this. I would just say react.use effect. I'm gonna call this function. Okay, so now we have to create this get user data function. Okay, so get user data function would also be created like this, and this is what const get user data. That's it. So now inside this we need to get the user data which is logged in right now. So I'm just gonna say that get user data by simply calling the same API, get user API, and then I'm gonna say that if user is not logged in, dispatch logout. If user is logged in, dispatch this login with the data. That means now set the user data else logout. Okay, that's it. So now you can see that get user is also working, get user data is also working. And then after that, guys, we need one more function to complete, that is handle logout. Okay, if someone calls handle logout, so I'm just gonna call the logout API. Okay, so for that I'm gonna go here in handle logout. Basically the purpose of logout API is to clear the cookies. Okay, so I'm just gonna call this. Okay, and this is basically the async function, async function, right? And inside this, below this, we're just gonna say that if this is successful, I'm just gonna send the user to login page. So I'm just gonna say if data okay is true, that means logout is successful. I'm gonna send the user to login page. Now let's test this, guys. So if I just refresh this for now, first of all, you can see we are able to see the login sign up. Why? Because here we need to check one more thing. Since you are getting the login state with the help of auth, that means the logged in user's data would be inside the auth because of Redux. So I'm just gonna say that auth dot is auth if it's true. If it's true, so you can see that now if I refresh, you can see that I'm getting these things. Okay, if I now log out, and now if I say suppose I log in with this user data, and suppose I type hj12345 okay, so if I log in, you can see that now the state is also updated, and you can see that at the top you see these things. Now if I log out, you can see now I'm logged out. Perfect. Even if I refresh now, I don't have any problem, right? And one more thing, guys, you are going to just check a few things here. Like you can check a few things here, like if suppose someone tries to visit the home page, you can send the user to login page and things like that by just calling check login function again and again in different pages. Okay, so that's it. So right now we have this much. Okay, we have it this much. Now what we need is we need to just say that we are logged in. So suppose I need to complete the sign up also. Now let's complete the sign up also. Okay, so now we'll be signing up a user. So let me just delete old users. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete this users. Okay, so that we can create fresh users would be deleted. And similarly, guys, I'm gonna delete the verifications also. verifications. Okay, verifications would also be deleted. Okay, so now let's try to complete the register API. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the register page, and basically this was the register page. Inside this, I need to call the register API. Okay, sign up API. So for that, first of all, again, we're gonna have a form data. Okay, we're gonna have a form data, and we're gonna make these imports. Okay, if we're gonna make these imports, and we need one more thing, that is link tag. Basically link tag is needed. Okay, so I'm just gonna import this much. Yes, so you can see, yes, now this much is here. Now we need to simply use these things. How we can use that? So first of all, I'm gonna say that we would be having use router. Okay, from next navigation. Then we would be storing our image also, profile picture also. So I'm just gonna say my profile picture would be stored inside this hook. And then, guys, we're gonna say that instead of these things, okay, instead of these three things, we're gonna have a form data, okay, which would store name, email, password, and the type of that form will be taken from form data. That's it, name, email, password. Now we need to store the OTP also, so I'm gonna store the OTP here. Now I'm gonna have the handle input change, which would just handle my input change. Okay, Now after that guys, we have the function. So what we need to do is we need to simply say that we have the sign up. So instead of this, we're gonna show the form data. So we'll just say that show the name as form data name. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that show the name as form data name. Okay, so form data name, form data dot name, right? Form data name and handle input change. Similarly guys, we're gonna update the email part also. So I'm just gonna say that form data dot email. Similarly guys, we're gonna update the OTP is fine, we are going to update the password field. Okay, so for password, form data dot password, right? Everything was fine. Now after that, we need to complete the OTP part. So you can see as soon as I enter the OTP, okay, as soon as I enter the OTP, it's calling set OTP. That means first of all I want to send OTP, so send OTP function must be called. This function is called, that means inside this you need to call the send OTP API. How you're gonna call this? You can see guys that here we created the send OTP API. Okay, we are going to call this API post request, header would be this and body would be this. Okay, we created this in last video, so that's what we need to call. So we just want to say that whenever send OTP is going to be called, I'm just gonna create a hook here. I'm just gonna say that sending OTP would become true as soon as I start sending the OTP. Okay, so now let's do this. So I'm just gonna say that first of all, whenever someone clicks on this, set sending OTP as true. That means I am now sending the OTP. It would take a few seconds, right? That's why I'm creating a loading animation for this. Now guys, I'm gonna say that I would call this API, send OTP API, right? And this is what async method. So ASY async. Okay, now I would simply say to whom you want to send. First of all, method is post. Okay, then body would be to whom you want to send. So to this specific email, that means form data dot email, receiver email would be sent. Okay, to this specific user I want to first of all send an OTP. Okay, then I would say headers are these. Okay, then credentials are include, right? So now you can see that you successfully send the OTP. Once you send the OTP, what you're gonna do is you are just going to say that first of all convert the data into JSON format, then set sending OTP as false. That means now your OTP is sent, you got the response, that means OTP successfully sent. So I'm just gonna say that if OTP successfully sent, that means okay is true, so just say OTP sent, else just show the error message. Okay, so now let's test this. How we're gonna test this? So I'm gonna go to the register page and I'm gonna enter the email of a user. So let's enter this specific user. So this specific user, if I click on send OTP, let's wait for a few seconds and you can see OTP sent. Till then what I need to do is I just need to show some animation here. Okay, so I'm just gonna show a blank button here. So here you can see we have the send OTP button. So I'm just gonna say that if sending OTP hook is equal to true, okay, if sending OTP hook is equal to true, then I'm going to show something else. Okay, so if I hit this and I'm just gonna say that if sending OTP button is true, okay, sending OTP hook is true, then I'm gonna say do something. Okay, this is for false. I mean, if it is false, that means you are not sending OTP, so you're gonna show send OTP button. But if you are sending OTP, then you are just gonna show here some text like SENDING, and here I can just show I can just give it a style. Okay, so I'll just say that style of this is what background color as gray and cursor not allowed, and that's it. Okay, that's it. So you can see that now you would see something like this as soon as you send the OTP. Let's test this. So if I try with this email, you can see if I click on send, you can see sending OTP. Yes, so you can see now it's sending OTP and you can see OTP sent successfully. Now if I go to the user, can see if I go to the user who would receive the OTP, you can see this user just now received the OTP 516422. That means now I can add this OTP and now I can add the details. So once I add the detail, I have to complete the sign up functionality also. Okay, so for completing the sign up functionality, we have the handle sign up button. Okay, we have the handle sign up function. So inside this function, we just need to call what? We need to call our handle sign up API. Which API? This register API, this API. Okay, register API. We need to call this and we need to set this much data. How are we gonna do this? We are just going to say first of all that if name, email, password and OTP are empty, then throw this error first of all. Okay, then guys, I'm gonna say that whatever image you're gonna set, okay, for image also we're gonna create a hook. So I'm just gonna create one hook here. Okay, for image we are gonna create one hook. So I'm just gonna say that if I write anything inside this, I'm just gonna say that my image would be uploaded. So I'm just gonna say that profile pic, actually it's profile pic, PROFILE, PIC. Suppose if someone wants to upload their profile pic for that. Okay, so profile pic, and after that, guys, okay, what's the error here? Okay, sometimes VS Code gives this random errors. Okay, you can just skip this. Yes, so we have just said that type of this would be file and name would be what, image. Okay, you can just name this as image, and you're just gonna say that ID would also be image, and then after that I'm just gonna say that set image file. Okay, set image file would be the 0th image file which you select here. Okay, so that's it. So I'm just gonna say that image file would be the 0th image file, there would be no value shown. Okay, so I'm just saying set the image to my image hook, that's it. So now let's test this. So we are gonna go to handle sign up. Now in handle sign up, guys, what we need to do is we just need to say that first of all form data dot append. Okay, form data dot append. First of all, what is form data? I'm going to create a new form data here. I'm just going to append the name here. Okay, I'm going to append the name here. Similarly, we're going to append the email here, we're going to append the password here. To this form data, we're going to append the OTP here. Okay, because since you can see that in register API, you can see the data is sent in the form of form data, that's why we need to create form data. Okay, and we are also sending the file. So I'm just going to say that if image file exists, then append client file, inside that provide that file. That's what we did. We just had the client file, append client file, inside that provide the file which we are adding. That's it. Okay, that's it. So now after that you just need to call the register API. Okay, you just need to call the register API and you just need to provide that form data completely. So this method is what, async, right? Async method. Now after sending the data, guys, I'm just gonna say that the JSON format would be this, and then after that I'm just gonna say that once the sign up is successful, I'm gonna send the user to login page. Okay, else if there is an error, I'm just gonna show the error. Okay, else I'm gonna show the error. Now let's test this. Okay, it must be working. So right now if I just show you, let me just um we did one mistake, I guess. Okay, I just deleted the database anyway, so let me just refresh first. Okay, so you can see that now I would just enter the name of the user, HARSHAL, right? Harshal Jain. Okay, now I'm gonna choose a file, so I'm gonna choose this file. Okay, I'm gonna choose the email, so I'm just gonna say suppose this is the email. Okay, suppose this is the email, so send OTP. Now I would receive the OTP where, to that specific email, yeah, this email would receive the OTP. You can see this is the OTP 436241. Okay, this is the OTP, so I'm gonna enter the OTP here. Okay, now the password was what, I want to set the password as HJ123456. Now if I click on sign up, you can see invalid OTP. Okay, strange, I'm getting invalid OTP. Let me just check again. So 436241. Okay, let me just check again. So I'm gonna write things again. 436241. Sign up. You can see now it's successful. Okay, I have entered the right OTP now. So you can see now sign up is successful and I'm taken to the login page. If I go to the database, let me just refresh, and you can see that the user would also be added here. Yes, you can see inside the users, you basically have that specific user. If I go to verification, you would see that, yeah, this is it. Okay, so suppose next time when I want this, what I would do is, suppose next time I want to send the OTP. Okay, suppose next time I want to send the OTP. Suppose if I rewrite the name, let me just check that if I, okay, I'm sorry, if I rewrite the same email, okay, suppose this email, okay, and if I click on send OTP, let's check that is the object double or not. So it's sending OTP. I'm gonna check that is the object repeated or not. Let's see. Okay, it's working perfectly. Actually, yeah, it's not repeated. Okay, now I'm gonna do this again. So for suppose this specific user coder sub 2430, I'm resending the OTP. Right now the OTP ends with what? You can see it's in hashed format first of all, and it's like $2B and HGU. It's ending with HGU. Okay, now let's resend. Okay, if I click on send OTP and not sending, and you can see now if I refresh, you would see that yes, now the OTP has been changed. That means it's not repeating. Okay, it's changed. The whole object is deleted, the old one is deleted and new one is added. Okay, perfect. So now you can see that, yeah, sign up is also working. If I click on already have an account, now I would try to log in with this user, and a password was HJ123456. If I log in, you can see now I'm logged in successfully. Right now I'm logged in successfully. Right, so guys, you can see that today's task is now done. We simply created what, we simply created the login, we simply created the sign up, and we also have the logout. If I click on this, you can see I'm taken to this page. Okay, now if I again try to log in, okay, let's create one more user. Okay, let's create one more user. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create new user. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that here I'll just name this user as Viraj Jain. Okay, then in the choose profile, I'm just gonna show suppose this profile picture anyways. Okay, I'm just gonna pick the email, suppose this email, right? And the OTP which this user would receive would be first of all send OTP. Okay, and then you can see that after doing this, you can see OTP is sent. Okay, so I would just go to that user who would receive the OTP. Okay, so now I received the OTP which is 530591. Okay, this is the OTP. So I'm just gonna go here 530591. Okay, as soon as I type this, now I need to type the password HJ123456. Sign up. You can see sign up successful. Now two users are here. So suppose from this user I want to send something, or if suppose from coders hub I want to send something to Viraj014. So HJ123456. So remember you created the share file API, right? You can see that if I take you to the share file, okay, let me just take you to the share file page. In the share we have the this page. Okay, so we have this here. We have to implement what? We have to implement the share file API which we created in the last video, share file API, right? So we have to implement this now so that we can share files and we can show the files here. Where is the share file page? You can see this is the share files page. If I take you here, you can see this is the share files page, right? So we basically need to complete this also. Okay, so we need to provide the email, then we need to provide this, and we need to provide something else also. We need to have a button also, share button also. Okay, these are all the things which we're gonna need in this page. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so for that, what I'm gonna do is, guys, okay, anyways, we're gonna do that part in the next video. That means sending file and receiving file. Only two, three things are remaining here. So you can see sending file is remaining, and similarly, we're gonna need the receiving file. So we're gonna do this part in the next video. Only two things are remaining here. So also we're going to show the progress part in the next video, right? So guys, I hope you understood this video. After that, after this video, the next video would be all about upload and get files. So we are going to do this in the next video, and after that we can just wrap up this playlist. Okay, so after next video we're going to need one more video for hosting. So I'm going to show you how we can host this application, right? So guys, I hope you understood this video. The source code for this session is available in my GitHub profile. Let me just upload this to my GitHub profile. Just a second. So I'm just gonna say let me just create a new terminal. I'm just gonna create a new terminal. I'm just gonna upload today's source code. Okay, so git add dot git commit m day 3 second. Okay, day 3 second. Okay, part 2, and then git push. Right. So now guys, I have uploaded the complete source code on my GitHub profile. What you need to do is you can just check out my GitHub profile, GitHub. Okay, so you can just check out github.com/viraj014. That's my GitHub profile. If you want to follow me, you can follow me. You can check out my Instagram and LinkedIn also. In the repositories, you would find TypeScript, Next.js, GFG. Okay, okay, I think yes, you can see now it's there. So yeah, you can see that now the source code is uploaded. You can see bit share, file share, MERN is available here, right? So yeah, our source code is available here. If you want to check out, you can check it out from here, right? So guys, that's it for today. I hope you understood this video, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, see you, a good day. Bye bye.